So, my friend, have you ever had something to say and then you suddenly went silent? Have you ever stumbled through a conversation only to think later, well, that's what I should have said? Do you ever feel like there are times when your message gets completely lost in translation? Well, you're in the right place because I'll let you know you are not the only one. My name is Kathy Riley. I am your host and communications expert with over 25 years in litigation and another 15 as an entrepreneur. Our goal here is to share tools, systems, techniques guaranteed to shift the way you connect and communicate with others. From mastering the art of a tough conversation to cultivating a mindset that screams confidence, you're going to learn how to break those bad habits. Super excited as we have a special guest here today, Miss Tina Huggins. All right, she is the owner of your divorce coach specialist. She's a certified divorce coach, transition and recovery coach, restorative family mediator, and conflictual co-parenting coach. Tina has a background in law enforcement and has dedicated her life to helping men and women get out of abusive situations. She holds a fifth degree black belt, so she's awesome, man. And she's taught many self-defense classes in women's shelters. Tina's journey through her own abusive marriage, along with helping many navigate the same, a difficult divorce, has illuminated one crucial truth. Both men and women need a different way to go through divorce. Tina truly believes that no one should have to face such trials alone. Tina is committed to supporting individuals through their divorce journeys, helping them find strength, clarity, and hope on a path to healing and new beginnings. Please, my friends, welcome Miss Tina. I am so excited you are here.
Thank you so much for having me, Kathy.
Thank you for giving your time. So I am a woman who's gone through divorce, and when you and I first started talking, I was like, oh, this is such good stuff. You have such value to bring to the table. So thank you for being on here because as someone I had no idea what I was doing when I was doing it, right? And I had a very unhealthy, borderline abusive marriage, and I just wanted to get out. So the divorce process was easy peasy, 90 days beginning to end. Oh, here's a funny story, my friends. And Tina, I don't think you know this. We started the process. I left him physically. I left the house and because he had been continually cheating and all that good stuff. The vows thing were a guideline for him. And he filed and the 90th day when I got the divorce decree was Valentine's Day. So I'm like, oh, there's the good, there are signs. The good Lord was definitely looking out for me. So with that, and you dealing with such a rough time, a transition in humans' lives, how often do you find the divorce and the mediation to be unhealthy for individuals?
In my client's case, all of them are unhealthy because I'm working in an extreme high conflict and all of, I focus my work on abused clients. I have worked with those that aren't going through abuse much easier, like what you said, 90 days and you're done. But in my case, with my clients, it's very, very difficult and very abusive, even through the divorce process.
And what typically is, how long is the divorce process?
I all of my clients are in this for at least a year. Most of them are in between 1 year and 2 years. I have been in a divorce situation that went 7 years.
Oh, so you don't know how long it's going to take when you're dealing with humans, right?
No, no. And the longest divorce was a Colorado divorce, and it actually holds the record for the longest divorce in that county.
Wow.
I came in at the
Oh.
end of that one.
So what would you say is the most common mistake people make during divorce or a custody battle?
Well, the most common mistake that I see is they think that a lawyer is one size fits all.
Tell me more about that.
So lawyers have their specialties, just like all the rest of us have our specialties. And my clients really need a litigative attorney. They need somebody that knows how to compel the other side to turn in their financials, which is the biggest problem that my clients deal with is the other side refuses to follow court orders, refuses to turn in their financials. So we need a lawyer that understands that litigative process and can file the right paperwork to get things done. So we have to find that right lawyer. And when we go in, and that was the problem with the 7-year divorce, is he had the wrong lawyer. He had a lawyer that saw money signs, and every time he called, the attorney had him come in for no less than 2 hours at a time, just cleared his slate for the rest of the day and had him come in just so that they could talk. And nothing was ever done. Nothing was done in the prior years.
Oh, wow. And, as somebody who's a former litigation paralegal married to a litigator, not all attorneys are like that, but finding the right one for the circumstance. So do you have a collective of attorneys that you know, like, and trust that will actually serve your clients?
Yes, I sure do. And for those I don't know, I do have contacts to find those. So it's super important. Some clients, like I've got one right now that I'm talking with, that they're not going to need an attorney probably at all. So my advice to them is we'll set everything in motion, get everything prepared, and then have an attorney look over everything at the end to make sure everything's good and in place, and have the attorney file it so it's filed correctly.
Nice. So what I hear you saying is your attorney, getting the right attorney who's going to advocate for you. That's their job.
Yes, my job is to help that attorney do that, and to help my clients stay credible. In other words, keep emotion not just away from their soon-to-be ex, but keep the emotion away from their attorney. So all the communication, a lot of my clients will come to me with their idea of communication. I will look it over, clean out all the emotion, and then we send it on to the attorney. And that way the attorney just does their magic. They are there to protect the client legally and make sure that their rights are not infringed upon, and to give them the information that they need to have from the law so that they are able to move forward with the divorce. And then the attorney doesn't have to listen to all the problems all the time.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit. I like what you're saying, because oftentimes emotion is the foundation of a lot of our conversation. Like it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Right.
Yes.
So emotion comes into the play. Give us a tip, an idea, suggestion on how do we improve communicating more factually versus emotionally?
Well, I teach my clients BIF, brief, informative, factual, and friendly. So we want to make sure, if we're communicating with our attorney, that we give the attorney all the information they need for this situation that just took place or is getting ready to take place, so that we have the right questions in place. But what happens, like I got an email today from a client, and she's getting ready to answer her soon-to-be ex. And in this specific case, she's flustered. And so her response, you can read it in there that she's scared and she's cowering to him and she's not holding her boundaries. She's afraid. And so her statement back to him really shows that he just abused her with his message, and she's carrying that abuse back to him to redo it again. It's what I call playing tennis. In this case, it wasn't anger that went back and forth. It's the abuse. She's abusing herself in her head. So I took that and I gave her the information that I felt was needed, asked the questions that I felt, and then I actually use AI to help. I took her words, told AI what I wanted, and AI spit out something, and I cleaned that up, and then I sent that on to her. And that's the way that I do that, to keep from fighting, to keep from, in this case, her abusing herself when she goes to bed at night, in the ruminations that's going on in her head.
Oh, so I would think that that's a common mistake. People who are going through a divorce or something is they have a tendency to respond in that emotion, in that angst, in that abusive state. And when you're there, it's really tough to be clear and concise. It's BIF, you're BIF, right? Brief, informative, factual. And you help them navigate that, correct?
Yes, yes. And what's fun for me is that I will help them with several emails to their attorney, but specifically to the other side, their soon to be ex. And after a period of time of me doing that, their messages back to me and the ones that they're getting ready to send on, I don't have to clean up. They naturally learn from my work with them how it needs to be said, and then they start. So this specific client, we had her there, and then things slipped away and we didn't get to work together for the last 2 weeks. What happens is my clients will come to me with that kind of attitude, men and women, because like I said, that long divorce was a man's divorce. He was being abused by his wife. And they come to me in that weak, abused state. And then pretty soon we get them to where they're standing on their own 2 feet, they're setting their boundaries, and now they're strong. Now I have to back them up from stamping their hand and feet all over the place in front of the judge. So we have to find
Uh,
balance to where they're not coming across as the aggressor, because that's what will happen once they start standing their ground. They're no longer going to take the abuse. Now they become the appearance of an aggressor.
Oh, I see how that can flip. So, how would you say for somebody who's still trying to navigate and create boundaries, what's what advice do you give someone who's struggling with maybe an ex, a family member that's just unhealthy? How do you start creating boundaries?
Well, and each person, their boundaries will be a little bit different. But for instance, right now I have um, a client that's been going through their divorce now 2 years. They've been working with me 2 years. And in this case, what's gone on is there was a good period of time where we didn't work together, where she thought she could just go with her attorney. Affordability got in the way, and then she came back for just a little bit more help. And what we've got going on right now is that the attorney, who's never been married, does not have children. My client has two autistic children, and in this case, the attorney, when I get her to have her boundaries, the attorney takes those boundaries away from her. We've got to look nice. We've got to play nice in the sandbox, but they're not seeing the abuse. And when you have that kind of abuse that's going on, then she's not able to make decisions. She's making the wrong decisions. She's making poor decisions that are going to affect her down the road in a very negative manner. And her attorney is taking all of her power away from her, unbeknownst to the attorney. This attorney is a good attorney, but she doesn't get it. She doesn't understand how these boundaries need to be put in place. So in this case, she needs to stop letting her soon to be ex tell her she has to let him talk to the kids on the night he's not supposed to talk to the kids. He was supposed to talk last night, but in this case, he's forcing her to let him talk tonight and again tomorrow night, because they're only supposed to talk every other day. So that's a boundary that needs to go in place for that specific client.
Right. And at the end of the day, it is, your um if in order to stick to that boundary, you've got to communicate it effectively to your attorney as well. Because part of attorneys to me, think are a lot like doctors, right? They know the best that they know, right? They're just trying to help us along the way. And they're doing it's a repeated motion for them, for lack of a better right. There's a system in place. This is how we do it. But getting down to the particulars with every individual and the minutia of, especially when you're dealing with an abusive, the person, the client needs to understand the attorney ultimately works for them.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who right now is going through this, a situation, whether it be a divorce or custody, and the attorney is not is not listening, right? Not allowing them to have the boundaries, what advice would you give them?
So, so in this specific case, the boundaries have to be placed. And when a boundary is placed in place, one, you have to verbalize it. And I have my clients put everything in text form, either through an email or a parenting app. Put the boundary in place kindly and respectfully. So they put the boundary in place. And then when the other side crosses the boundary, they can copy and paste from their original. This was what I said, and I am no longer going to allow that. And then, like a gray rock, drop it and walk away from the conversation. No more, because then we're playing tennis again. Now we're playing tennis with some emotional garbage. We don't want to do that. We just drop it and walk away. So in this specific case, she needs to set boundaries. So we talked about it. So he didn't talk last night. So her statement is tonight when he calls and demands to talk to the kids, she says, your time was last night, and I'm sorry that you were unable to be there, but I already have plans with the kids. You will talk with them again tomorrow at the same time as always. Thank you for your request. And drop it and walk away from the conversation, knowing he's going to get pissed, but you got to walk away. Those are just words now, what he's going to say. You know he's going to say them.
Right. So actions have consequences. And when you're dealing with somebody who's manipulative and abusive, they're gonna keep trying, right? They just want to keep stirring the pot.
Never stop. They'll never stop.
And it's up to us to step into our worth, own our boundaries, and to stop the behavior. Because then, when we start doing that, especially if we walk away and we don't, they may come going knit, 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 knit. We've set our boundaries, we walked away, and we don't respond to them anymore. It stops being fun for them.
Right, right. So it becomes less and less, and then they go find another supply. Now they're going to keep egging you until you no longer have to be connected to them. And in some cases, once the child turns the 18, then you can block them from your phone and never have another conversation with them. Unless, like me with my husband, my ex-husband, we are able to be in the same room, even alone, and have a good conversation. I'm able to have a good conversation with he and his current wife. This is because I showed respect to her. She needed to have that respect. He and I had learned to show respect years earlier. And so we got on good footing, and now we're okay. But in some of my clients' cases, they can't hear, can't communicate with their ex at all without some form of abuse coming from them.
Yeah. And I got to admit that's my ex is very similar in that every now and then reaches out, and then when I say, can I help? Is there something you really need? And then he gets pissed off because why are you always this way? Why are you this? Why are you that? And I'm like, I don't need to play this game because
Drop it away.
it is a game, and now after decades, so it's been years, it's kind of like it takes time, right? It takes time to heal and get past that. So allowing, if you're listening to this, you got to allow time and give yourself grace to navigate that, because they know your buttons and they will push them. And if you let them, because at the end of the day, it's up to you to whether that button's pushed or not. So eventually you'll get to the point where the button's not pushed. Right?
Yes, yes. And it's not that they don't try to push it. You have set your boundaries. You don't allow for that button. There are no more buttons. They try, but now they can't reach them because you have no more of those buttons for them to push.
So you've got a story because you've navigated this yourself. Can you share with the audience a little bit about your journey?
So my specific journey and why I can say that my ex and I are in a good place is, yes, it got abusive. He was abusing me verbally, And I truly, honestly believe in, I would say, there's a spectrum of narcissism, and we all can be narcissistic from times. And so he sits in there and bounces out of there. And now I think he sits outside of that most of the time. But it got to the point that I was abusing myself mentally in my head. The ruminations were, I'm bad, I'm not good, I'm not good enough, I'm dumb. Those were types of things that were playing over and over in my head because those are the things that he told me. Well, it got to the point that I ended up with a broken hand. And I believe, because our brains don't work during this time, during this kind of abuse, what had happened is I went to leave the fight. He started yelling and screaming at me, and I went to leave, and he grabbed me. Well, I am trained, so I released and I hit a door jam. So he gaslit me for years and years. I had to have a therapist talk me through this, to say that it was my fault because I was the one that hit the door jam, right? But then he threw me on the bed and he put his knee in my chest and separated all my ribs. I had a great big bruise. And he said that was for my own good because I was frantic and he didn't want me to leave. And then I don't know whether this is the same fight, but at some point in one of these fights around this time, I ended up underneath a pickup truck. I crawled underneath the pickup truck because he couldn't get to me underneath that pickup truck. I could kick him away with my feet. And how silly is that? I am definitely capable of taking care of myself. And I was still afraid of the yelling and the screaming. So years later, I stayed in that for years, and it just progressively got worse and worse verbally. And that's what happens. If we can't fix it at that part, if we can't stop and find some help and fix it, it's just going to get worse until it's unfixable. And it got to that part where the last time, see, I didn't see the first part as abuse. I just thought that it's just the way things are. And when we're in the middle of the abuse, we really truly can't see it. It's like the lobster being put into the pot. It's cold water. Pretty soon it's so hot and it's too late. You can't get out. So years later, he comes in, and it's not very late. It must be 6 p.m. It was still light outside in June. And I knew when he came through the door. I'm folding clothes right by the door. I knew, and I could see my car keys. So as soon as he got into the kitchen, I grabbed my car keys. I don't think there was any word said by me at all. And I ran out to my van, got in, went to drive back up. He stopped it, bent the door on my van. So at that time, I stuck it in park and I broke his nose. I had it. That was it. And he tossed me out of the van, dislocating my left leg. That time, I knew that was abuse. It took me 3 more months to get out of that relationship. That is so often the case with us abused people. Men even stay longer in a lot of cases. They just can't see that abuse. My dad was almost murdered, and it took me to get him out of that relationship.
What an incredible story. And thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing it with us. It's just, but my heart just sinks. And for all those listeners that are hearing this right now, and maybe they can relate on a deeper level to what you're doing, what advice would you give them to try to, regain their voice, regain their position when they've been gaslit and in that situation?
It is very hard, extremely hard. One, to see it. You think that that's just it. And then there's all these things about I can't get out. You say you think you love them and you don't want to lose them. You don't want to lose your family. You don't want to lose the way you're living. And then how can you afford to move out? So you have all of these things that play hard in your head. The first thing I would tell you is, one, listen to the people in your life. If they're telling you that you need out, you probably need out. 2, talk to your family and your closest friends. Tell them what's going on. I don't care what your friends are telling you, what your soon-to-be ex is telling you. Don't tell them, don't talk to them. That is a control issue, and they will tell you that. They'll make you. I got a call just yesterday from somebody who says, my husband don't want me to even talk to you anymore. You're my only friend, and my husband don't want me to talk to you anymore. We barely ever spoke. And I was just living next to her and would listen to her cry through some of the stuff. So when somebody is there in your life that's close, your friends, your family, don't worry about what it's going to look like to them when you say this. Say it, because you're going to need the closest and loving, the most loving, close family members, friends that you can have when you step out. But listen, when people start to tell you, why are you staying? That's a key to get out. You should get out. That's a key. You need to listen to that. Listen and communicate with the people closest to you.
So start paying attention. Other people. So what I hear you say, other people see it before we do.
Yes, yes. Unless you're like me, I didn't tell anybody and nobody saw it. And if there would have been bruises, which I mean there was on my chest, nobody saw that because it was underneath all my clothes. The bruises that I had on my wrists, those were normal for me because I grappled and I fought. I taught students how to do this. So I always had bruises all over me. So nobody knew. And for years after I was divorced, I had another relationship and I had broke up with that and I went to live with my mom. So my mom decided she was going to get me back together with my husband because my whole family chose his side. And so she invited him and my children over for Thanksgiving. And because it was my mother's house, I opted and chose not to fight. My ex-husband took me down and got me in a chokehold in the middle of my mother's living room, and our youngest son had to pull him off of me. It was that day that my mom realized what was going on and never spoke to him again.
Okay, you've just opened up a whole can of worms here. Why? Why? Okay. Whew. So your mother sided with him,
All my
and
family.
and do you think because you weren't sharing everything along the way that they had no idea what he was really like until they saw it themselves?
Exactly.
So when we hold ourselves quiet and do not share what's going on in our world, the intensity, the we need help, we don't share that with anyone, it actually does us an even bigger disservice because other people are confused. I mean, they want to help us, but how can they help us if they don't know?
Exactly. And in fact, I talked him up about how wonderful he was and everything. And he was always going over to my mom's and to my father's house. My parents were separated. And he would help my dad, or he would go over every weekend and just have coffee with him. He did that until it no longer. So he was doing that to hurt me because once he would go over to my dad's house at the end of that day, he would text me and I saw your dad. He's doing good. Just thought I'd let you know because you never go see him or something to that effect. But as soon as it no longer bothered me or it wasn't important, then he stopped completely, even communicating with my dad. And it was the same way with my mom. My mom would call him to do all the electrical stuff. Even though my brother could do it, she always called my ex because he was an electrician. And it was always, that's just the way that my parents were until that day at Thanksgiving.
So it's when dealing with unhealthy people, narcissists, people who control you, right? They control and they abuse and all of that. They let go when it no longer is fun for them.
Right.
Correct? Is that?
Yes. Yes. It's just that it's that control. They need to have some form of control. And that's why we need to set those boundaries and we need to take the buttons away so they can no longer touch those buttons. That's why he would go see my dad. And finally, it wasn't a button anymore. So he stopped.
Oh, if somebody is listening right now and they know they have buttons, they have those buttons, whether they're going through a divorce, they need to step into the divorce. Or even if it's just an abusive, what's one thing they can do to start making that button not be so easy to push?
It's hard. It's hard to do that. and really they will probably need help. Um, and somebody that's trained to help would be better than just a sideline. But you can pick up books. There's several of them out there. I can't quote any of them right off the top of my head, but there are books out there that can help us through that process. But you got to do the work. And it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's something you got to continuously practice so that you get to a part where you pick up your phone and you have a text from them and you just kind of whip and you walk away from it and you don't feel it in your gut. That's how you know you're getting there or that you're there. That's no longer bothering you. And it's not an easy process because we've been taught through the abuse. They are the ones that created that button. Like I will tell you, grabbing my wrist because of my husband, that's a button. It's not a healthy button. And so I always warn the people in my life, don't grab my wrist. Not fast grab my wrist because it frightens me and I right away go into a protection stance and everything. It literally takes me into PTSD. So that's a physical button for me. But all of the minor buttons where they can say, maybe you're just not smart enough. I know I'm smart enough, so I don't have to even listen to that. Look at it. I don't even have to read it. And it darn sure doesn't set a button off for me, but it takes work to get there.
Okay. It absolutely, that's so powerful. So recapping, we talked about, when you yourself, there's good. That's great job, Kathy. Okay. When you yourself are in this, I don't know if something's wrong or something's right. And internally our gut is powerful. So if something's unhealthy, we kind of know. But you're saying, first of all, listen to the people around you in your life because chances are they're going to tell you when they see something. And then if you are questionable, if you're worried, to then communicate with your friends and family because they will help maybe confirm, maybe navigate this feeling of unease, right?
Yes. And when it's time to do the exit plan, we create an exit plan. And when it's time, those are going to be the people that are going to be there to help you pick up the parts.
Oh, okay. So another question, if you are listening, let's say that we have a listener right now who they themselves are not navigating this, but they have a friend who is, right? They're the ones that are seeing it. What advice would you give them as you're watching, whether it's a man or a woman, one of their friends who are in this unhealthy relationship?
So, especially with women, you want to make sure that, so a woman to a woman, you let them know, I know that you're going through a hard time and I'm here. And you have to repeat that over and over. Do not push it, don't shove it because they'll step back away from you. So just let them know always, I know you're going through a hard time. I'm here. All you have to do is ask. Just say that and leave it, but just say it not so many times in one day, but say it periodically as you go through your friendship. With guys, it's the same thing, but you just want to make sure that they know that you're there for them. I know that it's hard for you to go through this. I just want you to know I'm here. And with women, we tend to be, get close to each other and maybe even whisper type things in each other's ears. With guys, we are a little bit more distance in that. You've got to make sure that you get in their space when you talk to them. Make sure they hear what you have to say. I know it's hard for you. I'm here for you.
The power there is to truly listen. Okay,
Yes.
truly
Yeah.
listen that's communication. The big misstep with communication is the thought that it's actually happened because most of the people don't listen. And that's a powerful skill for every individual to develop is the ability to listen. So I hear what you're saying and be present,
Definitely.
right?
Definitely. And once you say that, when you say you're going to be there for them, be there for them. When they call you and say, I'm in trouble, come pick me up, go right now. Go get them because they need you right now more than you even have a clue.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I don't know that I've got a couple friends that I said if you needed me to help you bury a body, I would. I don't have that many of them, but if somebody calls me and says, I need you now, you just, because we don't often say that. How often do we have people calling us saying, I need you now? If that happens, drop everything and go.
Yes, yes. And I actually have done that. I have put myself literally physically in between the abuser and the abused as I help them get out of the home.
And that's got to be an amazing way, a personal power, right? That you have the ability to communicate with both at that given time. How do you not lose it when you're in that situation?
You do have to keep your cool. You've got to stand your boundaries. You've got to be strong, and you've got to know that this can get aggressive. And what is good, working in law enforcement, if we had people back in the jail that were fighting and you send a male officer back there, one, you couldn't send one male officer back. You had to send at least two officers back. But you could send me back because I was not a threat. I could go back and break up the conflict much easier than they could. One, because I wasn't threatening. And that's why it worked so well for me to get in between them. I made sure that in this case, it was a guy that was abusing the woman. I made sure that he knew that I was just there to help, to support him, to support her through the situation. And that's all I was there for. I did not become aggressive to him. I knew when I got there that it was going to be a scary situation for everybody involved, including him. And so being kind and gentle, speaking low, speaking at a lower speed helped de-escalate the situation.
So powerful. And that's one of the keys, to how do you de-escalate a hot situation? So you just said it right there. Is there, on that topic, when you're in a verbal, communicative situation that is verging on hostile, how do you de-escalate it? What's a strategery that you can use?
So when you step back, you retreat. If you're there personally, you need to retreat by a step or two steps back, because stepping forward is an attack position. I mean, these are things that you learn in martial arts. So you step back, you take your voice down, you get a little bit deep with it, and you talk slow, and you look at them in their eyes and let them know you are not here to cause a problem. I'm here to help. And I just don't want any problems for the two of you guys. I am just here to help. So we want to make sure that don't do it's like dealing with horses. You don't want to make any flailing aspects with your hands or movements with your body. You want to be very specific, very slow, and very intent on what you're physically doing and what you're physically saying.
Yeah, that connection, the mind-body connection, because other people will perceive it, right? So to have that body posture, the tonality of non-threatening, affirmative, right? So you're assertive, you're going to stand tall, but you're not threatening. So just shifting into that position. And I like how you said, so your tone of voice and your pace, because you can calm people down when you start talking slower. And then the other thing that this is what I've learned with horses, and now it has transcended to humans. It's your breath. So I don't know if this is a tool you use. You probably do. And I'm talking to the choir here, but you just take that and you don't, you do it purposely a couple times. They're going to do it. They're not even know that you are doing it to them to get them on the same page. It happens with horses. It happens with other people. It's kind of like they yawn. When one person starts yawning, everybody starts yawning. So paying attention to your breath, is that a tool that you use?
Yes. And so I was actually just going to say that. So when you are being verbally attacked and you don't want to continue playing the tennis match, you take a long, slow breath in and a long, slow breath out. That gives you time to, one, get in oxygen, is what we teach in the martial arts. It gets your oxygen, and it gives your heartbeat chance to kind of go, okay, I don't have to go faster. And that gives that time. And it also sets a stage with the other side. Like you're saying, the breath to the breath. In this case, it's that space that you do. You're not attacking and you're thinking, giving yourself thoughts. Usually what happens is the other side will speak before you speak. Then you can take another long breath in and another long breath out and answer slowly.
So powerful. I love it. Okay. So you've been, it's, I mean, your background is absolutely incredible. You've got law enforcement, a high level. I don't even know how high the black belts go, but you're a kick booty kind of lady, mediator. So you've got all of this intensity. How do you personally stay grounded? How do you personally stay emotionally strong when you work with such intensity?
That is a really good question. And I keep this relationship first and foremost. If I can
Okay,
keep
so you're putting your hands up and down for those that are listening. So above
God,
your head. Oh God,
yep.
this is God.
So
Okay.
God, I keep this relationship with God. I call it spirit, but most people refer to that as God. And I keep that together. I work with literally grounding myself. I imagine an iron rod in my case from my tailbone to the center of the earth. Then I ground myself in behind or focus myself in behind my eyes. So I'm centering myself in behind my eyes. I slow my breathing down and I imagine that I have this cascade of beautiful energy that goes around me and protects me and loves me so that I am okay and the person outside of my energy is equally okay. So I keep all of that going, especially when I'm having conversations that slightly get heated with anybody. I step back into that. Now, for those of you who don't know, I lost my husband 9 months ago. And so this practice has been huge for me to stay physically centered and grounded because sometimes we're just off in strange worlds. So I can completely understand where my divorcing clients go to with the grief and the pain. So as I'm going through all of this every morning and throughout my day, I will go through that little tiny exercise that takes me maybe a minute to go through, just so I am grounded.
So this is a practice that you've utilized and you implement multiple times during the day. It's not
Yes.
just one and done.
Yes. And it takes a practice to do. And I am truly like a laundering machine. I can take all of your negative energy. So I tell my clients, don't hold back. Throw it all out. We'll get rid of it in the first 15 minutes or so of our conversation and let it all come. And then because I'm able to sense and feel their emotions and their pain, my voice, I'll start at their level. I start high, I start rapid, just like they are. And then I slowly bring my voice down and slow it down. And so do they, just like you were talking about your breath and the horse. So it's the same way. It's a subconscious, and that's how I control them. And then when I get them there, we take a deep breath kind of together, whether I tell them to or it just happens. And then when they start to lose it again and start to cry or whatever, I'm like, you weren't doing that a couple of minutes ago. So I don't want you to go back to that now. And then they're right back there. They're right back into that controlled place where they can think and make great decisions, where in the other places they can't make good decisions.
So powerful. Oh my gosh. So if anybody's listening right now and they feel like they need to connect with you, learn more about you, have a conversation as they're thinking of navigating, getting out of something unhealthy, how can people find you?
Well, they can look up my website at divorcecoachspecialist.com, and they can reach out to make an appointment with me over my email, which is Coach Tina Lynn, and that's CoachTinaLynn at gmail.com. They can reach out through either of those platforms and we can get them an appointment as soon as possible.
That would be awesome. So thank you for that. It's a gift for anyone's listening and for those that are that are listening, you can go back to this podcast. I will have the links active there. So your Miss Tina is just one click away. So, but before we wrap up, I've got a couple fun questions so that people actually get to know you a little bit more personally. Because we're humans, we're complicated, we have lots of layers. So let's get to know Miss Tina a little bit better as a human. So would you say you are a morning or a night person?
Nowadays it's morning person for sure. Up at 4.
Great googly moogly. That's early, 4 o'clock. Wow. All right, girlfriend. That's what time do you go to bed?
8:30.
My goodness. Okay, that is crazy. But you do you, no judgment. I love it. I love it because mornings are very productive. At least I think so. So if you were to snack, would you prefer something sweet or something salty?
Salty.
You're a salty girl?
Salty.
Yeah, me too. If you wanted a fabulous dinner, is it something that you would cook at home or go out to restaurant?
Go out to a restaurant.
Out to a restaurant?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I live alone now, so it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna cook.
Those darn dishes kind of creep up on you too when you cook for all that. Let's say you just needed something yummy, right? You just needed something comfort, something yummy. Would you eat it or drink it?
I would eat it.
You would eat it. What's your favorite comfort food?
This is going to sound really silly odd, but I take elbow macaroni and I put it in a glass with hot water and I just let it sit there for just a few minutes, pour off the water, and I eat that.
Really? So you don't boil it, you just put it in hot water?
Just put it in hot water, let it sit there for just a little bit.
Ooh, so she likes some macaroni. I love it. Would you consider yourself a beach person or mountains?
Ah, I would say beach.
Beach. You love the beach, the
Mhm.
sand, all
Yes.
that. Okay. So if you wanted to read a book, would it be paper or Kindle?
Kindle. Actually, it's Audible.
Audible?
Audible.
Listen to it, baby. Listen. I love
Yeah.
it.
While I'm
Uh,
running.
while you're running, multitasking. I love it.
Yes.
All right. So if you were to watch something, just chill out and be entertained, would it be a movie or a series?
Hmm. If I'm alone, it's a series. If I'm with somebody, it's a movie.
Gotcha. All right. Do you like movies in the theater or do you?
I do like movies in the theater. I haven't been to the theater in over 5 years, but yes, I like them in the theater.
Yeah, they've gotten those big comfy chairs now. It's
Yeah.
all like it's amazing. Okay. Last question. Have you ever seen the movie Zoolander?
Yes, a long time ago.
Long time. Okay. So you've got these male supermodels, right? So they're it's a comedy, it's funny. So each of the male superstars they have a walk-on song. So whenever they, take stage or you see them through the movie, there's always this one song playing that just kind of encapsulates who they are and their personality. What would be your walk-on song?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. And then I'm so bad with names. So this is going to sound really, really horrible, but there's a new song that's out now that's oh shoot, and I can't even think of the name. But she's singing about that she was from Tennessee and she's gone to California she dances at or strips at a strip club. But there's a part in that song where she says, "It's on the stage in my heels is where I belong." And since my husband died, that song it's a powerful thing. It's what I want to do, not so much dance on the stage in my heels and strip or anything like that. But it's like, it's what I want to do. So that's what the song kind of means to
Um,
me. It's what I want to do. So I'm going to do it my way. I don't care what my son, because I'm out here living out here by my son. So I don't care what anybody has to say. I'm going to do it my way.
Oh, that's so good. Do you know the artist or the name?
I
You
can't
think
think
it?
of it.
Okay. I'm gonna have to Google it and try to figure that out because I love that. My way. My way. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Tina, for sharing your time and talents and your thoughts, inspirations, stories with our audience. It's been an absolute pleasure to share this time with you. Truly, truly honest, especially with navigating that. That's just it's a message people need to hear.
Yes, and that would be the one last piece. If you're thinking about getting divorced, get a hold of a divorce coach. They'll will save you money. In the one long case that I talked about, we literally were able to measure it and saved him $100,000.
Wow. Wow. There weren't people like you when I went through mine. So it's huge to have someone like that who's got your back. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for hopping on. And that's a wrap, my friends, for today's episode of Breaking Bad Communication. I appreciate you being here and tuning in. And before we sign off, don't forget to subscribe. And if you heard something that resonates with you today, share it with your friends, repost it. Know this: the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your communication. So as you head back out into the world, remember every conversation is your chance to shape your life. Whether it's a tough talk or casual chat, be clear, be intentional, and listen like it matters. The better you communicate, the more your life aligns with what you truly want. So go on, get out there, enjoy the rest of your day, own your voice, and make your words count for you. Giddy up.